Yeah, yeah. Fresh out the cell with a plan and a boo. Anklet beeping, but my heart's beating for you. Let's go. Met her on a prison pen pal site. She said you cute even in that orange light. Now I'm home and I'm free, kinda on probation. She picked me up in a Prius, pure elation. Got a teardrop tat and a heart full of dreams. She brought cupcakes and some government cheese. I said, girl, you a snack, maybe even a feast. She said, you just hungry cause you live with the beast. Love after lockup, wild and free. Got no keys, but she got the key to me. From yard time to FaceTime, look at us glow. From prison phone calls to reality show. Love after lockup, we don't play. Tinder got nothing on JPay. I did my time, now I'm doing hers. Doing laundry and love, both in spurts.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Love After Lockup, Locked Down, where we are covering Season 1, Episode 7. As always, you can find us in our Facebook group at Love After Lockup, Locked Down, or on Instagram at LALU Locked Down. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Lisa. So this episode is called Prison Cell to Wedding Bells, which we hate the title because it should be Prison Cells to Wedding Bells.
I can't stand it every single time I hear it. It drives me crazy. And it's the finale, the season finale. So you would think that they would. How hard is it? Prison cells to wedding bells.
Especially because we're talking about more than one prisoner coming out of more than one cell and more than one wedding bells.
That's true. If we were arrested and sent to prison, what do you think I would be convicted of or arrested for?
Okay, I got it. You like all of those auctions and bin things, the bin sales and the auctions.
Uh-huh.
You would accidentally buy something that had drugs hidden in it. Or it would come on a pallet that had drugs inside the pallet, hidden inside the wood.
That would
And
be
you'd have
so
the
much.
pallet in your garage. Yeah,
So...
and they'd drill into it and out would come cocaine. Or it would be in the box of it would be in all of the boxes of the Rice Krispie treats because you bought a pallet of Rice Krispie treats.
Oh, I would never do anything like that. I
Does
wouldn't be.
anyone want Rice Krispie treats? No, no.
We have too many. You can build an igloo out of Rice Krispie treats.
Probably insulate a house with Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah, I had a marshmallow or two once upon a time.
I'm enjoying those chips though because I started taking one of the bags of the chips you brought, not the jalapeno ones, the other ones, because they're the baked Lays and they're only 110 calories for one little tiny bag of them. So I've been taking one.
You can get some good stuff on there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I accidentally bought drugs there one time because I buy stuff that I have no idea what it is. It's just like, I don't know, but for $1, I guess I'll find out.
Yeah. Drill it, make sure there isn't drugs in it and it's worth more than $1. So do you have any ideas of what I would go to prison for? I know what I would go to prison for on accident, but I want to see what you say.
I feel like you might accidentally get too drunk and too mad at somebody and have some words that might seem too aggressive for.
I feel like that would happen, but I feel like it would happen in we've talked about how I want to go on a cruise, didn't we? Where I would want to go on the cruise, but I wouldn't want to get off of the cruise because I fear getting onto one of those little islands, doing something wrong, and accidentally breaking a rule that would put me in one of those awful overseas prisons that
Right, then
are
you're on
on those
locked up
shows.
abroad.
Yeah, locked up abroad, and I would do something wrong. I would be acting belligerent in a bar on accident. To them, belligerent is like literally nothing of what it would be in the US. I talk too loud.
It's scary. Talk too loud. It's
Yeah.
scary. Like, I don't want to go out of the country right now.
I mean, I would get stuck somewhere where women aren't allowed to drink, right? That would be my luck.
You would be in
Don't
hell.
drink here. So we start out this episode with Jonna and Garrett, my favorite, and they are 5 hours until their ceremony, and her friend is doing her hair.
So she doesn't tell her family at all that they're getting married. She didn't even bring it up to them.
She's telling the girl who's doing her hair, and I don't know if we heard her name, but I didn't write it down. She's like, weddings are expensive and they're eloping, and you know that's not what that's come on.
Right. You bought him a house.
This is just what she's saying because she wants to save face. That's what she's doing.
And Garrett lists all of the reasons that he loves her.
Yeah, he said she wants better for me than I want for myself. Where is he getting this? Where is he getting this?
It's
Who's
gotta
what
be
she's
it's gotta be what's not aired.
right. I feel like what she's doing is she's molding him to build him and everything into this life that she wants for her and for herself and for the outside world to see. She's molding everything, her whole little world, and he's part of it.
He is part of it. I mean, he got himself into this situation and he stays. So there's got to be something there that draws him to stay, honestly.
But is there? I don't know. I still feel like Garrett has options because he does have family that's giving him money and stuff, but I don't know.
Having somebody who'll give you money is different than having somebody who'll let you stay with them, though.
That's true. That is true. Maybe he doesn't actually have anyone that he can stay with, but he has someone to give him funds. But
Right.
and he could have got an apartment. He's a felon.
Right. She tells her friend that she doesn't want to elope. And she is getting married, in all fairness. She's getting ready in the bathroom of a restaurant. Not
Yeah, she
exactly the dream wedding she had in mind.
no, she says this isn't what I want. This isn't what I deserve. Of course, it's what she deserves. 'Cause she deserves the world. She's wearing her rehearsal dress to get married.
She didn't get a bridal shower. She didn't get a bachelorette party.
hmm All things that end.
Hmm.
All things that are once in a lifetime. Well, not maybe not once in a lifetime. Let's take that back. But once a marriage, unless you choose to get married again in the same marriage, which people do. But next, we're on to James and Alla, and of course, we know from last episode that Alla relapsed.
Right, and he reads a card that she sent to him and then says that she's his dream girl.
Yeah, and then says, "But aren't all nightmares dreams?" True.
That's true.
So she talked to her probation officer, and he put her into a rehab. And in comes Mr. Chris again, and
If he is so angry about the things that Chris says, why would he continue to go visit Chris? Like, if Chris is really as nasty as and he's as if Chris is as nasty as they're portraying him to be, and James dislikes it as much as they're portraying, why does he keep going to visit Chris?
yeah, Chris is the same as Shar and
Scott.
Tommy. No, well,
Scott.
yeah, but so it's Scott's Shar and Angela's Tommy. This is James's Chris.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
it's the friend. But see, the other friends have gone through this for a while now. This is new. So this is only 11 and a half months in the making, and he may not have even known about this the entire time. So Chris hasn't had enough time to get fed up with this yet. He's just like right out of the gates, like, I don't know much about this, but this is just a bad idea. And there's really not much to know,
Right.
and
Chris is unsurprised by her relapse. And I think that the way that James finishes out this scene is proof that he has absolutely 0% understanding of addiction. Somehow, some way, he understands it less than somebody who has never heard the word addiction.
No, he doesn't. And then he says, I don't understand how after 15 months and you walk out of prison and you have it all and you screw it up. That is not that right there says everything. He just doesn't get it. He literally thought she was going to walk out. She was going to be like, I'm never going to use again because my life is great and it's grand. And this just goes to show he has no idea what addiction is. And that is not what she's thinking about at that time. Drugs are her vice. Drugs are what gets her through stress and hard times. This is what she is now a drug addict for life. This is
Right.
always what she's going to go back to. Unless she has constant continuous help for the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Next we're on to Andrea, Andrea and Lamar. And they're on their way to the beach and it's an hour away. An hour. These kids, have you not tortured them enough? She's making them think that the beach is right outside the door the entire time. And they get there and then they're like, oh, the beach, let's go to the beach. Guess what, kids? You gotta jump in the car and drive through ugly LA for an hour.
We drove you all the way from Utah to LA, and now we're driving you
Yeah.
another hour. Yeah, Tennyson says, does it all look like this? Lamar says, no, it gets worse.
This is cracking me up. I mean, all right, do they live in like the most luxurious part of Utah? And I know nothing about Utah.
So I don't either, but I mean, they act like the entirety of LA is ghetto.
And that's not, it can't possibly be true. The rich and famous live in LA.
Yeah, I don't understand. Maybe it's just where they were driving, but it's
I mean, there is definitely its problems, but like, I mean, it's also very beautiful in there. We know this. I don't know where they are, but wherever they are, it's terrible. Or it doesn't just look as grandiose as Utah. Sounds ridiculous.
Nyla says, Lamar, can you tell me some convict stories?
Oh my God, have you ever gotten shanked? Have you ever dropped the soap in the shower? This girl, she's so
She
beyond her years.
she is so funny. She's like, if you're gonna make me ride in the car for an hour, you're gonna entertain me.
Exactly. He tells them that he was shot by guards in a riot, which is
Wild.
terrifying.
It's
Hmm.
that's such a wild thing to be able to say. And he's so
Yeah.
matter of fact about it too. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I got shot."
Well, he's like, yeah, kid, you want to hear a story? Here's a story.
Right?
Got 18 and a half years of them, and if you ask your mother, it's 15.
He says he's been lying and he can't move to Utah for at least a few years. I don't understand. Everybody on the show has the I've been lying. I haven't been totally honest. I etc.
Yeah, I I want to believe him, but to not know that answer and it goes from 6 months to 2 years. I'm like, what?
He spent 18 years in prison. My guess is he just wasn't sure exactly. It could have been wishful thinking that they thought 6 months, like maybe that's the average. I believe him. I believe that he can't move to Utah.
From what I know, you don't actually have to be on probation when you leave prison. Probation is a choice.
Parole?
Um, being on probation, being like
Well, when they leave
having a
prison, they're
probation
on parole.
officer. Yeah, but they have a probation officer. They pay for the probation officer. They
Hmm.
pay to, for that privilege because when you are on parole and you have a probation officer, this is you going, I'm going to be good and I'm going to behave for this amount of years. And then if I do, then I no longer have to say that I'm a felon. this is how that goes. You don't have to do this. It's not free either. You have to pay. You pay your probation officer.
I don't think that's the way it works here.
That's the way it works here. You don't
Yeah.
just go. You just don't automatically. You have to pay for this. This is a choice, or you could just be a convicted felon for the rest of your life. That's how I know it to be, and it's on your record for not the rest of your life, and sometimes it's like 7 years or 10 years or whatever.
It's interesting. So he tells her that she needs to move to LA. And of course, they argue.
Yeah, in Lamar, it says 18 years. I heard him say that when Andrea's saying 15. And she says, you're just going to be messing up my life. But we all know that no matter what, she's saying all this, but she's going to go along with it because she wants Lamar in her life.
Right.
It doesn't matter. She's just going to step all over everybody just to have this life with him that she wants.
I feel like she's the kind of person who does whatever she wants, regardless of what anyone else thinks of it, including
Mhm.
her kids.
Okay, so next we're on to Mary and Dominic again, and they are surprised getting married on a boat in downtown Toronto.
With only the two of them and their dog in attendance.
Stella.
He told her that he didn't want to do vows.
Well, he just wants to do the regular vows where the person speaks them and then he just repeats and then they say I do.
Which is fair.
hmm
And she's wearing a short red dress with a fur coat.
Yeah, I thought she looked cute. I liked it. It looked classy. If I mean, if you're gonna elope, you don't necessarily need a white dress. I mean, we all know where you've been. So
And
you can do a red dress, a black dress, whatever.
I think she should wear whatever makes her happy, which I feel like she did, and she looked great.
Yeah.
No notes.
And they say if we can get through prison, we can get through anything. And she's just happy to marry Dom.
Right. And he says if she stood by him all his time in prison, then he should give her what she wants, which is not really the way you would want somebody to talk when you're getting married. But
But knowing Dominic now, I kind of expect it because but him saying that to me somehow feels different than if it were to come out of Garrett's mouth. Because this guy is not out here going, yeah, it's time to be with the boys, it's time to party, it's trying to eat. This guy's like, I'm scared, I'm terrified, I want to be on the straight and narrow, I don't want to go back to prison, I want to live a normal life.
right.
And he's just like and he's very like dull right now because he's whatever he's going through in his mind. So for him to say that, I think it just kind of fit with the whole mood he's in.
He comes right out and says that he loves her and he wants to spend the rest of his life with her.
Yeah.
You know?
He's saying things so monotone that it's kind of hard to believe him, but I kind of do. I kind of do believe him.
No, I'm not saying he is. He could be on medication
Yeah.
too that's dampening.
Yeah.
But and she foresees a house and kids.
hmm
And I hope that's what they have.
Yeah. We are back to Lizzie and Scott. And he says, I financially support her 100%. He's scared about their future. And if she gets additional time, he'll be 62 years when she gets out. Years old when she gets out.
Yeah, and he says that she's the only person that he's dated in the last 10 years. So he's devoted a lot of time and energy to this relationship. And he's really worried about telling her about the new charges because she doesn't know yet what she's looking at.
Yeah. And when he tells her, and it could be an additional 8 to 12 years, she's crying.
Is
To
she?
me, exactly. To me, it sounds very fake. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it sounded it wasn't even a good fake. It was a bad fake crying. She says she's sorry. She doesn't want to be there anymore. She loves him so much. I just
Mm-hmm.
want you to hold me. Come on. Come on now.
Yeah. You were playing him so hard, and it was disgusting to watch.
hmm She says, I hope you're going to wait for me, babe.
She plays off of his loneliness, that he has been really open about. He's wearing his heart on his sleeve, talking about how lonely he is. And she plays off of that. And she asks him, "Are you going to wait for me?"
Hmm. Of
Gross.
course he is. Ay, ay, ay.
Did
The
she
poor
ever
guy.
wait for him?
Can you, are you gonna wait for, he doesn't ever say, "Are you gonna wait for me?" Well, because that's all she can do. So we are back to Lamar and Andrea, and she's stressed out she'll lose him if she doesn't move to LA, and she's crying, saying that she's a horrible mom, but I don't think she cares that she's being a horrible mom.
No, I think you're probably right about that. She just picked up the kids and moves them for 2 years. But part of the deal with her moving her and the kids, uprooting everyone, is that he has to marry her right away.
Isn't that great? That's how I want to get married, an ultimatum.
Either we're not going to see each other at all because you can't leave LA, or we're going to get married. So it's all literal, all or nothing.
Lamar says, "I'm the best thing that's ever happened to you." How does she know this? What, Lamar, what are you giving her at the moment? What have you given her that's saying that?
That arrogance was ugly. I didn't like it.
I didn't either. It's like, for, well, what? I mean, I don't know. He's given her nothing. He's
Right.
given her nothing. He's
She
provided her with nothing.
she tells the kids that they're moving to LA and Nyla storms off, which I feel like that's a fair response, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, Andrea says, "If we get married, it's my duty to be with you." Okay, all right, here we go, making up rules again. I mean, like, oh, yeah, yeah. Just another thing. It's just, she's gonna be with him no matter what, no matter who she has to hurt, no matter what she has to do. She's going to be with him. Of course, she was going to move to LA. He knows this.
Right. It's a sad situation.
Yeah, but she deserves to be an honest woman. Come on. We know she's had a baby out of wedlock, at least.
At least one.
We've figured it out, kind of. But, Priscilla's crying, Nyla walks away, Tennyson's running after Nyla because Tennyson seems to be Nyla's, like, being more Nyla's mom that through this whole thing than mom is.
I hate to say that, but it's true.
Hmm. So next we're back to Johnna and Garrett, and she's still questioning the eloping. I don't know.
She's still sad that her family's not there, and she's said she's nervous. And I think
Family could have been there.
they could have been there. You're right. There's no reason that it needed to be this situation where it's just the two of them,
Yeah. Why are we acting as if just because you're eloping, you can't have your family there? It's not like they ran away to, like, Mexico.
right?
They're, on some random beach. Probably outside of his work. Think?
Before she even reaches him, she starts complaining, and she says she's having second thoughts and she's not excited to marry him and she doesn't want to elope. She got ready in a restaurant bathroom.
The server brings her bouquet to her, and she's, like, literally telling her whole story. And I'm like, who is this random woman? Why is this server bringing her her bouquet in the bathroom? What is happening here? This has to be his work. This has to be his work.
I didn't even think about that, but there's a good
Hmm.
chance.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a mess. And I feel, at this point, I kind of do feel like a little bit bad for her because this really, really isn't what she wanted. But why would she agree? I just want to know why she would even agree and go through this whole shenanigan here if this isn't what she was going to want in the end, and she was just going to literally tell him no.
An elopement is not fair to her, but telling him that it is okay is not fair to him.
Part of me thinks that she wanted to do this just so that she could kind of give him a slap in the face while they're about to get married, and she tells him no. Because it was kind of her way of being, like, or gaining, like, power or something.
I
Because it's
don't
not like
know.
this cost a lot of money and took a lot of planning.
I bet it
She
didn't
already had the
cost any
dress.
money.
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed weird and wasteful and just a big old fat waste of time.
I agree with you there.
We had a little excerpt in between here, there that little second of time before the commercial where Andrea is and just telling the whole room not to ruin her wedding day. And then we move into Scott and Lizzie.
She's like, yeah, she's being a bridezilla, and I didn't make any other notes other than that. She was just being awful, which is not
Mhm.
surprising at all. I wouldn't expect her to be anything else.
Not Andrea not being awful. No, never. So with Scott and Lizzie, Scott says, "No matter what, I've got you. Hang in there." And he dreams of being with Lizzie, and it's going to happen.
Yeah. He does admit that he doesn't know if he can wait another 12 years, although even as you're watching it, he absolutely would.
Hmm.
And he's comforting her. She's the one who did
She's
it.
and at no point in time is this alarming him at all. The fact that she's in trouble for drugs in
Right.
prison. At no point in time is that coming up where it's like, maybe that's a giant red flag. Maybe this isn't a good idea. All he talks about is how he's responsible for the cell phones, but who's responsible for the drugs, Scott? Not you. So who?
Yeah, it's a mess. He's a mess. And he has good people in his life, so he knows what good people are. He's just being blind to them.
So that was just a very short little scene, and now we jump into Alla and James, and Alla says that she underestimated the fact that she was vulnerable, and that they're still together, and that it's been a roller coaster. And this is shocking, but not shocking to me because remember, James said that they had that rule, that golden rule, that ultimatum, that if she relapsed, then he wouldn't be with her. But they're together.
Hmm.
Surprise. I'm not surprised. Are you?
No, I don't think. I'm not going to say there's nothing she could do to get him to leave her because it's not Scott and Lizzie's situation going on. But he is, I don't want to say obsessed with her, but I don't think that he's just going to leave her. I think that he would stick by her, you know. I don't know how many times, but
I don't want to say obsessed either because that's too strong of a word, I think, but
mhm,
I don't know, enamored? I don't know. Like a puppy dog love thing where it's like,
he's very committed to her. And I think sometimes people say things that they don't mean, and he says, "Oh, zero tolerance. If she uses, it's over." But then she uses, and he's like, "Well, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't have made an appointment at the modeling agency, and maybe I shouldn't have pushed so hard." And maybe he's seeing the things that he did that contributed in a way to her relapse or could have contributed.
also, would that be fair for him to do that? To just be like, "All right, no, you used, I'm gonna walk away from you," because that then just goes to show how much he really truly does not know about, drug addiction, and the fact that he would just be like, "Nope, you used, I'm walking away from you," because like this is going to be the only time. Right. Okay.
I
I
won't
mean,
I won't fault somebody for not wanting to be involved with an addict. That is a
mhm,
choice.
he
Some
chose it.
some people aren't equipped to do that.
Mhm.
But
He's he's naive and he just didn't. And if he's gonna be all in at this point, he just needs to be all in, and he just needs to be like, "All right, I accept it, and he needs to learn something. He needs to like learn something, start doing some studying, talk to her counselor, talk to someone, you
read
know."
that book I wrote, How to Love an Addict,
Yeah.
for dummies.
How to love, yeah, the Cliff's Notes of how
That's
to
right.
of addiction. So we are back to Andrea and Lamar, and they're planning a last minute wedding, and she's just like, I don't even want to do this. Says your family's different, and says that her family looks like the Huxtables compared to this. Where's all this coming from?
I don't know, but you want to talk about rude. His family's right there. And she says, "Oh, I thought my family was crazy." Are you
Yeah,
kidding me? That is so insulting. Not that she cares if she insults people, but
up until this point, I don't even really think we have like met any of her family, like just her kids and some of her random Mormon friends, but none of her family. I didn't think she had family up until this point.
I don't think we met any of her family other than the kids.
No.
Then she reveals that she had custom shoes made, and they were like $3,000 originally, but she found somebody who would make them for $1,000. She had $1,000 shoes made.
And I just I don't even know. People do. I mean, she had a long dress. People aren't even going to see her damn shoes. And if she wants to marry this man so much, why are you like, I'm not getting married without my shoes? What's more important to you, marrying this man or your shoes? If I wanted to marry a man so bad and I wanted to walk down that aisle with him and my shoes were not there, I'd be like, I'm going barefoot.
Barefoot.
Let's go.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Hmm.
It's a mess. And her friend says, "Oh, I love her, but I want to shank her." And I thought, I would probably feel exactly the same way. Exactly.
Lamar and his boys are getting ready, and Lamar said he's never worn a tuxedo in his life. Well, shocker.
Yeah, you when would you have had the opportunity to do that?
Exactly.
Tennyson tells him not to talk too much while he's helping him do his tie. He says he doesn't want to make his mom mad, so don't talk too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, it was a weird.
And then we get to visit AJ again. We haven't
Oh,
seen her in a few minutes. She says she hasn't met Lamar, but she's seen some black guys around. So she also said she smelled marijuana. Oh,
this woman is cracking me up. I don't know how this woman has gotten this far in her life without getting the crap beat out of her.
right? Maybe she doesn't say insulting things to white people. I don't know.
She must be only around white people, literally, but we know she's not because now she's got a black friend. And I did see another black woman too that they hung around with. So it's just confusing.
So supposedly, the guests wait 2 hours past the time that the wedding is supposed to start because Andrea, the only thing she cares about is her shoes. And she says the guests should have to wait for her because she's the bride. I'm sorry, what?
I'd be, you and I both said I'd be walking out of there. I'd be like, and I just kept saying, I hope she had a lot of drinks and snacks because those poor people, I mean, that's just so rude. It was beyond rude, but not shocking for this person. Not shocking at all.
But do you
Just said
think
that
that they really waited 2 hours, or do you think that that was kind of enhanced a little bit to make it?
I don't think so. At a point, they said 3 hours. I heard 3 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because Lamar goes up to the door and says, "Why don't you have your dress on? The crowd has been waiting for 3 hours." And I was like, "Holy crap!"
And of course, AJ says her husband will never go to a black wedding again.
Yeah, that's that was a great statement. Luckily, they probably won't have to because they clearly don't know many black people, and wherever they live is mainly white. They're
She
just
is their
she wants
black
to go to
friend.
a white. Yeah, she only wants white weddings. White
Yeah.
weddings only. That's the rule from now on. She says the well, the guests are getting antsy, and then she says like they should wait for me. It's not on their schedule. It's on mine. Things like that, and she's got to wait for these shoes, and it's just crazy to me. And she's just being like you said a bridezilla, but finally the shoes arrive.
And what do we find AJ doing during the wedding? Because she is a bridesmaid.
But she walks down the aisle on the arm of a black man, and I gasped because I'm like, she actually had to touch a black man. What I bet she's like wanting to jump out of her skin with the way that she talks.
She probably loves it. It was so urban. What the hell, AJ?
It was so urban. But when Andrea does come down the aisle, she does have, you were right, she has her modest Mormon dress with sleeves on. So she has her sleeves.
And she argues, like jokingly, I guess, with the minister about using the word difficult in her vows. And then when she actually says her vows, she just leaves them out. Like, you can do that.
And then she changes the one word. I forget what word it was, but they asked her what to say and she changed that one word.
I think,
Amazingness or something.
what?
She changed the word to like amazingness or something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
I didn't write it
I
down.
missed that.
Hmm.
She says that the cake is blue after they cut it because he's a crypt. Are you kidding me?
I thought
That was
that was
appropriate.
hysterical. It was hysterical. Like, do we have to? And
She makes
I
bad
wonder,
decisions.
well, I wonder whose decision that actually was. Do you think that was Lamar? Because I feel like that might have been a Lamar thing.
Oh no, because he didn't know why it was blue. It was all her.
Wow. They after they get married, well, and it was kind of cute, and the whole thing. And finally, 3 hours later, and then the party started, and they're eating, and he says he feels bossed up, and everything's great for now.
It's wonderful.
So now we jump onto Jonna and Garrett, and they're on the beach. And Garrett says she looks beautiful. She's crying, but we know not for the right reasons.
She tells him, and I think we already mentioned this, that she doesn't want to elope, but says that she still wants to marry him. And this is the first time I think that he looks visibly upset. Like, he does genuinely look like a little surprised that this is the way it went.
I think he does look surprised, but I think that he's surprised just because he thought he this was it and it was going to be over with, and then we could just get past this marriage thing. And now he's just like shit. we have
Great.
to we have to go through this. We actually have to do the real thing now.
And this is the season finale. We have the updates for after filming. Andrea and Lamar live in California, and he is gainfully employed in the airline industry, which is great to hear.
What do you think he's doing? Cleaning airplanes?
I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, the airline industry is pretty broad.
Gainfully.
He is gainfully employed. Dominic and Mary began living together after he got out of the halfway house and returned to work as an iron worker. It's
Good
good to
job.
hear. Excellent. 6 weeks after filming ended, Alla was arrested for violating parole, and James remains committed to her. So we were right. It is not a zero tolerance policy.
Mhm.
Scott is still waiting for Lizzie, who is still in prison, and he says he will wait as long as it takes. This one I know is really going to break your heart. Garrett and Johnna broke up a month after filming.
Oh.
Who could have seen that coming?
Mhm.
Do you have a VIP for this episode?
I don't think I wrote one down, but I think I'd go with AJ
AJ's your
because
VIP.
yeah, because she in 2025 that woman said things that could literally get her killed. But
I don't know when it was filmed, though.
it was in 2025, but it's still 2018, I think we said.
Yeah.
But in 2018, I think it's similar, same.
Some bad choices for sure.
Yeah.
My VIP was Tennyson. He's just he's a smart kid, and
Hmm.
like you said, he's more of a parent than Andrea has been up to this
Yeah.
point. So that's about it. And then next we start on season 2.
And it's long.
Yeah.
So very long.
We'll be covering all of the episodes. We will have guests on, so make sure you tune in for all of that.
And we're going to start our Patreon at some point, but we need to get a little bit further in, and we will have bonuses along with our Patreon. So bonuses that will be with our regular episodes, and then some episodes that will be on our Patreon when we decide to start it.
Perfect. So that's about it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, head over to Apple or Spotify to rate and review. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join our group on Facebook at Love After Lockup, Locked Down. Listen every Wednesday wherever you find your podcasts, and keep those notifications on to be the first to catch bonus episodes.
And in the meantime, don't fall in love.
And don't get locked up.
First date at Walmart, keeping it low. Told the clerk, don't judge me, I'm on parole. I brought roses, okay, 1 rose from a gas station. She said, "Aw, babe, now that's validation." We be vibing in a halfway suite. Microwave dinners, romance elite. She my ride or die, she brought me a phone. Even snuck it in once, pre-release song. She hold me down like a key-o with charm. Except she don't mace me or twist my arm. We write vows in Sharpie on my court docs. Judge said no contact, but we beat the clocks. Love after lockup, cuffed and proud. Matching jumpsuits, now we rockin' the crowd. She said, don't mess up, I said, bet. Now we're TikTok stars with no regrets. So here's the love and second chance thrill. From a concrete bed to Netflix and chill. They said, don't catch feelings, but I caught a case of butterflies, girl, not just in one place. Ankle monitor beep. Oops, curfew gotta bounce.